late breaking. This is WDSU News at 6.
Baton Rouge officials are trying to prevent a replay of violent protests as they await a decision from the Department of Justice on police action in the Alton Sterling shooting.
If they do indict the police officer, it'll be peace. If they don't, it'll be a hot mess.
Multiple agencies are now on standby. Good evening, I'm Scott Walker.
And I'm Sela Kim. Thank you for joining us. You know, it's been nearly 10 months since video surfaced of Sterling being pinned to the ground and then shot at point blank range after an encounter with police. The shooting sparked nationwide protest, and now a decision could be on the horizon.
We have team coverage right now with Travers Mackel on how the National Guard could be getting ready, but we begin with WDSU's Jennifer Crockett live in Baton Rouge. Jennifer.
Well, I'm told that right now there are hundreds of protesters in Baton Rouge right now from out of town as the DOJ continues their investigation into the Baton Rouge police officers' actions for the fatal shooting of Alton Sterling last July. I've spoken to several members of the Sterling family, and they are bracing for the federal decision too. Some are preparing to march with local protesters to demand justice for Sterling.
What we're expecting to happen is the same thing that's been happening. These people may get off. I mean, we've looked at several cases and we see this as a trend in the Department of Justice. So we're not so much looking for the Department of Justice to come back and say that his civil rights were violated.
Baton Rouge police did confirm to me that the two officers involved in that fatal shooting have been on paid administrative leave since last July. Coming up all new on WDSU News at 10, hear from Alton Sterling's nephew, what he has to say about all those out-of-town protesters. That's coming up at 10. For now in Baton Rouge, I'm Jennifer Crockett, WDSU News.
Jennifer, thanks. And when a decision is reached, Baton Rouge law enforcement will not be alone. The Louisiana National Guard could also be brought in. WDSU's Travers Mackel continues our team coverage now. Travers?
Hey there, Scott. Some Louisiana National Guardsmen will be in the Baton Rouge area for a training exercise starting tomorrow. But in an email and letter that we recently obtained, it also appears that they are on hot standby for anything that deals with the DOJ decision and Alton Sterling. When emergencies happen around the state, leaders usually waste no time in calling in the Louisiana National Guard. They were in New Orleans most recently when tornadoes ripped through New Orleans East in February. And it appears
35th Street and Carter.
They're headed to Baton Rouge. This email sent from a Lake Charles-based staff sergeant to members of his unit indicates as much. In it, the staff sergeant writes, "We are about 95% sure we are getting called up on Tuesday. If not Tuesday, one of the following days." He goes on to say, "This is in regards to the Sterling verdict. Our company has been put on QRF call for approximately 2 weeks as of now." QRF is military lingo for Quick Response Force. The letter ends by saying, "Be ready to report to the Armory within 4 hours." Attached to the email is a letter for all guardsmen who are part of this Lake Charles-based unit, and that letter tells the soldiers' employers, quote, "This battalion is the first to be tested on a no to minimum notification notice. During this time, your employee will be training on riot control support, traffic control points, observation points, presence patrols, and fixed site security." And we should also point out that Louisiana State Police says it's ready to respond to anything in Baton Rouge. LSP is headquartered in Baton Rouge, and right now they tell us they do not plan on calling in any additional troopers. For now, we're live in New Orleans. I'm Travers Mackel, WDSU News.
Travers, thank you. And according to the Washington Post, there have been 963 fatal shootings by police last year. 19 of those shootings happened here in Louisiana. More than half of the people shot and killed by police in 2016 were armed with a gun, while 1 in 20 were unarmed. Half of the victims were white, while a quarter of the victims were black. The Washington Post compiled the statistics using news reports, public records, social media, and other resources. And also, we will continue to monitor the Alton Sterling case for you and update you once a decision has been reached. You can check our website, WDSU.com, or download the WDSU News app for the latest updates on this story.
In Lacoma, a 17-year-old is dead after a crash over the weekend. Police say a Chevy pickup truck was headed east on West Chestnut Street and didn't stop at the intersection of North Pontchartrain Drive. Police say the Chevy pickup truck collided with a Ford pickup, flipping it in the process. Victoria Schneider was inside the Chevy pickup and was killed in that crash. After 2 years of debates and lawsuits over ride-sharing companies operating in Jefferson Parish, officials are now trying to partner with the companies to save some money.
And the parish will soon test a ride-share program which would allow people to use an app like Uber or Lyft to get a ride to their closest bus stop. It will first be tested on Manhattan Boulevard south of Lapalco, where some people are walking 2 miles just to get to their closest bus stop. Officials say it will be more cost-effective and more efficient for riders.
In our system, the average 2-mile route costs about anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 a year to sustain. With a ride share program or a contract, it could be anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000.
And the parish expects to start the program in June. Riders would be able to use a ride-sharing app to book a ride and enter a code that would allow the parish to pick up the tab.
Ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft would be regulated at the state level. If a new bill becomes law, it would make the state and local municipalities share 1% of each fare. Uber and Lyft argued their apps could start serving people in some of Louisiana's smaller cities if the companies no longer had to negotiate agreements with each local government. Officials from New Orleans, though, opposed the bill, predicting the city's annual fee intake from the rides would drop from $2.4 million to just $400,000.
The New York Times says Mayor Mitch Landrieu may consider a run for president in 2020. Landrieu's name comes in 10th in the Times list of possible Democratic candidates. They included the mayor, Mayor Landrieu, because of the publicity surrounding the removal of New Orleans Confederate monuments. Other possible candidates include the mayor of Los Angeles, former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Senator Elizabeth Warren. Now, there's been no word from Mayor Landrieu's office confirming a potential run for president.
Next, here at 6, the RTA is making the St. Charles Avenue streetcar line wheelchair accessible. How many stops will now be reconstructed?
Plus, the St. Tammany sales tax renewal voted down. How much revenue the parish will have to come up with.
And it's beautiful now, but more rain is in sight. I'll let you know when.